Good evening and welcome to the New Mexico Philharmonic's Wednesday Night Live. Such a pleasure to be here with you again. And my guest for tonight's show is a wonderful pianist from Uzbekistan, a former country from the Soviet Union. So let's start our show by listening to Olga Kopylova perform Cecil Chaminad's the dance from Antique Dances. We will hear number 3, the Courante. This is Olga Kopylova on piano. And now I have the pleasure to introduce my guest for tonight, pianist Olga Kopylova. Good evening, Olga.
Hello, good evening, Roberto. It's nice to be invited to this program. I'm very happy to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you with us. And that was an awesome piece that you performed, the Courante of Cecil Chaminade. I have to admit, I did not know that piece, but it's so flashy, so sparkling. And have you always played the works by Chaminade?
It's interesting. For my shame, I have never played any piece of this incredible composer before pandemic came.
Really?
But during the yes, I already knew about her because she wrote a very famous piece that is Concertino for flute. And flutists, right, they used to play in auditions this piece. And I heard some concert etudes from Chaminade also, but I never came to play by myself. And when first quarantine came in 2020, orchestra where I work, São Paulo Symphony Orchestra, stopped all the activities for almost 5 months. And then I was at home doing nothing, and I started to make the research on new pieces, new repertoires, to practice something and to have a kind of new inspiration. And then suddenly I discovered some Chaminade's pieces, as this Courante, for example, from Ancient Dances, and toccata, and a lot of miniatures. And I started playing. And in that situation of a total disaster, that music a kind of brought to me a new inspiration. You know,
well, I'm very happy that you, I'm so happy you found this. It's actually the pandemic and being in quarantine gave us so much opportunity to discover new repertoire. You know, the same with me and with the orchestra, because we had to have smaller orchestra when we came back. So we started exploring composers that we didn't before, right?
Yes, exactly. And also pandemic brought new opportunities, because, you know, suddenly free time appeared. We stood at home, you know, closed in our homes, without possibility to travel, to go see our friends, our relatives, and what shall we do? I mean, and then I started practice a lot, you know, and free time appeared, because, you know, I'm orchestral pianist. I have been orchestral pianist for 21 years, and, you know, in orchestra, pianists always have a lot of things to do, you know. And then this opportunity to dedicate the free time to my personal studies, to come back to that approach that I learned in Moscow Conservatory, this solo repertoire, it brought me the new possibility of discover myself as an interpreter. I mean, during those 5 months at home, I practiced, and suddenly I practiced so many things that I started to record those things, you know?
Fantastic. Well, before we talk about your upbringing and your education, we have another video of you playing another piece by Chaminade, which is the Toccata Opus 39. So let's watch that now. Olga Kopylova performing Cécile Chaminade's Toccata. You know, Olga, I just loved Chaminade. I'm a big fan of Chaminade now that you introduced it to me.
I'm happy to hear this. Yeah.
And that was wonderful. The toccata is also very, flashy and sparkling. And it's a great piece for you, I think, because you have such a wonderful technique. And speaking of which, so you were born in Uzbekistan. It was part of the Soviet Union. And when you were about 10 years old, you moved to Moscow to go to school in Moscow. Tell us about this trajectory and where you went to school and where you got your education.
Okay, I was born in a country that doesn't exist anymore. The name is Soviet Union.
Right.
I was a Russian from a Russian family that spent their lives in Uzbekistan, because Soviet government, they sent people with professions like my father, for example, engineers or doctors, professors, to those countries to work. And then right. I was born there. And the interesting fact was that in all those Soviet republics, the educational system was the same. That's right. Why I could study in a special musical school, Uspensky School of Music, and there I studied a Russian school, I mean, a Russian pianistic school. And when I moved to Moscow in 1994, I continued in the same program study in Moscow Conservatory College of Music and after in Moscow Conservatory. In total, I studied 15 years in those special musical institutions. And
is that the Tchaikovsky? Is that it is the same as the Tchaikovsky Conservatory in Moscow?
Yes, yeah, Tchaikovsky Conservatory. Yes, I studied there. And the good thing about this educational system was that it was a unified system, unified knowledge. Then the basis that we learned, how we played, it was the traditional basis that was established during more than 100 years. I mean, that's why we have, I belong to this great Russian school, and we have this kind of special approach in treating piano.
Well, that's why we have all these wonderful pianists from all over the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, because you had the same standard piano school for no matter which country, which city you came from, that was the tradition in the system. That's wonderful that you had that opportunity, and then you end up in Brazil, and I know well because I hired you. I was there, right, at the jury.
Yes. Fortunately.
And now you have a family here, and you have a husband and 2 kids, 3 kids?
2. Just 2. Yeah.
Okay. And are your children learning music too?
Well, I tried to teach them a little bit, but they didn't show a kind of big interest, Then the oldest one, he's 16 years old right now. He liked guitar and how to say gaita.
Yeah, well, I will remember it.
Okay, then I don't remember the name in English. Okay, but there's the smallest one. He's 14 years right now. He started play trumpet, but his teeth start to fall down.
My God! Yeah.
And right now we are waiting. All the teeth come to the correct place. I mean, to continue with trumpet, but will not be musician for sure. And probably because I didn't want this career to them, because I passed through so many difficult situations, change from one country to another and practice 8 hours by day. I mean, I think I don't want this career for my kids.
It is tough to be a professional musician. It's true, my kids, they all learned music, and I have 4 kids, as you know, but my son is also he loves the electric guitar, so he loves rock and he plays rock, but he does something else. He's a businessman, and so that's the path they choose, right? But Olga, you came from Moscow to São Paulo, and we had many musicians that came to Brazil from several different countries, from Romania, from Bulgaria, from Russia. And one of these musicians is a violinist that plays in the same orchestra as you, Yuri Rakevich. We're going to watch now a video of you and Yuri playing Gershwin's It Ain't Necessarily So from Porgy and Bess, a version for violin and piano. Olga Kopylova and Yuri Rakevich on violin. Let's watch that now. That was a lot of fun. I'm used to doing the original version with the singer, but it works beautifully well with the violin and the piano. Thank you for bringing that to us, Olga.
Yeah, I like so much this music, and I brought it because this is one of the most incredible American composers. I mean,
Exactly.
So bright, so full of life. I mean, and Yuri, he is so special violinist, He also belongs to that kind of Russian old violin school. And we worked together for 21 years. I mean, he is almost a part of my family,
So we discovered that, that the instrument that your son plays is harmonica.
Harmonica,
That's
yes.
what we are trying to do.
Yes.
Now, Olga, it's so wonderful that you've been here, and now you also have taken up an interest in teaching.
Yes.
You told me that you only started that not long ago, right? That's recently. Because why did you wait so much for you to start, having students?
Well, because I didn't feel myself as a sufficient mature musician to share my knowledge with students. It took me a long time to become mature as a person and as a musician too, but something happened some years ago, probably 5 years. um, I started to understand how to share my knowledge, because one thing how to play, another thing, and it is very different to teach somebody, to make somebody play as you believe,
Right.
and it is difficult. Because teaching is a kind of special profession. Sometimes very good teachers, that they are not so good performance, and vice versa, or you can
Exactly.
both, I mean. But it took me a long time to become mature, and now when I teach, I really feel that I have authority to teach, to tell, please play like this and it will work. Use this kind of fingering,
Exactly.
it will work. Make this kind of exercise and you will have success. Right now I have pleasure in teaching. I found this, that I have really big pleasure. Today I gave a lesson to one student. It was around 2 hours and a half, and I forgot
Wow.
about time. I mean, I didn't know where I was, and I just was working one phrase of Beethoven's first concerto. I mean, the beginning of it, 8 bars, 8 bars, and we spent 2 hours and a half working on it, and it was not enough, But when you start to see the results, when you see that your student understood what are you talking about, and he or she can reproduce, and it brings the correct result, I become very happy because I feel realized myself.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We're going to hear you now performing Prokofiev's Sonata No. 4 for solo piano. Tell us about this piece.
Okay, this piece was written by Prokofiev when one close friend of him, I don't remember his name, but he lost a friend who suicided himself. And then he wrote this sonata, and the first movement is very heavy movement. Second one is the movement that Prokofiev by himself, he sometimes played independently of sonata as the independent piece, andante. And in second movement, there is the reference to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata also. And the third movement, Prokofiev came to his, that kind of ironical, bright spirit, and I love this sonata. It's beautiful. And the last movement that I shared with you, it's full of life again, full of those rapid passages that it's typical mark of Prokofiev's music.
So we're going to hear the third movement from Sonata No. 4 for piano with Olga Kopylova. That's such a beautiful movement from the sonata, you know. Thank you for sharing that with us, Olga. And of course, Prokofiev is a composer that you perform a lot. You had concerto number 3 with me, even long time ago. um, but you know, you were saying about when you first came to Sao Paulo that you actually were invited by this friend of yours that was from Brazil, but was studying in Moscow with you, right?
Yes, his name is Heitor Lotzi, and he was Brazilian violinist who studied in Moscow Conservatory. And I made friendship with some Brazilian students there because they couldn't speak well Russian. Heitor already spoke well Russian, but there was another friend that I knew, Thelma Haberman. She was first Brazilian, in fact, and she was suffering a lot from cold and from kind of difficult Russian language, and our teacher was so hard. I mean, and she was crying all the time, and I made friendship with her, and through her I knew Heitor also. And then Heitor told me about when he finished his studies in Moscow, he moved back to Sao Paulo, and he called me and other friends of mine and told, see, Sao Paulo State Orchestra is opening auditions for piano, for harp, for violin, viola. Come here. I told Heitor, you're crazy. I will never go to Brazil because, you know, I don't speak language, and Brazil is tropical country with monkeys in the street. I mean, I will never go there. But here I am, and I came to Brazil, and I remember very well, first time I came in 2000 in February. It was winter in Moscow, and here when I came to Guarulhos airport and this kind of warm air, and I became so amazed, I forget everything. I wanted to live here. I mean, and I remember very well you and your family, you were so kind to foreigners. And I remember one time you invited me and Luba Klevtsova, harpist, who still works in Sao Paulo State Orchestra. We worked together for 20 years already. We went to your house, and your wife cooked some fantastic food, and your house was full of small children. Your children were still small, still young. And I remember this kindness from you. You always spoke to foreigners and made ourselves feel welcome in Brazil. This was very nice from you.
Well, I'm very happy that you felt welcome here. And now I have to take you to Albuquerque, New Mexico, because we have a strong connection with Russian musicians in Albuquerque too. Of course, we have a strong connection with Olga Kern. She has her own competition, you know, in Albuquerque, and we just love having people come from all over. So hopefully you will be with us sometime soon performing in Albuquerque.
So. Yes, will be great
Olga,
pleasure.
It's been a tremendous pleasure talking to you and having you on our show tonight. So thank you so much for participating with us.
Thank you for
Cheers.
inviting. Okay.
This is to all great Russian pianists, including Olga Kopylova.
Cheers to Brazilian people that I like so much. Yeah, you are very kind. You are very special people, really.
And wait until you meet our musicians in New Mexico and our audience, which is fantastic. They're really warm, you know, and they really love music and love musicians. So we're very grateful for the family that we have in New Mexico. And now we're going to finish our show listening to Olga perform with a cellist, Ilya Laporev, and they will perform for us Sonata number 2, Opus 81, for cello and piano by Nikolai Miaskovsky. And with that, we're going to end our show tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for being with us. I'll see you next week. Meanwhile, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week. Good night, Olga. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.